Should you be buying Solana right now as the price of cryptos does continue to inch towards recovery? We're going to be answering that in today's video, and we are starting right now. So looking at Solana, something that I talked about as we approach this macro trend line, let's go ahead and move me a little bit smaller and then let's jump to the daily charts, was that we were starting to see a bit of overextension on many of our shorter time frames. So of course you guys know that we have this trend line in which we have been trapped within for quite some time now, realistically since the middle to end of November. And now as we were approaching it, looking at things such as our 4-hour time frames, of course, let's go ahead and pull this up. What you could see is that we were starting to get quite extended. We reached a 70 level on the 4-hour RSI way back before we were even close realistically to this trend line. And what was extremely important was that as we did start to inch near it, we needed to either see a small pullback to allow these short-term indicators to reset, or we needed to see some consolidation around this level to again let those indicators reset to then allow us to see that break to the upside. And what you can see is that is exactly what has been happening. Starting off looking at the 4-hour RSI, we have been getting a load of consolidation here, and we have been seeing something of what could be considered a bullish divergence forming extremely soon. And so considering the fact that we are starting to see this bullish formula and this bullish setup for us to possibly see that breakout through the top side of this trend line, I'm going to talk about my game plan and exactly how I'm going to be buying this thing, as I don't think it is time to buy it just yet, but I am under the belief that it is going to be time to buy very, very soon. So what I'm looking for, of course, is the daily closing above the trend line. That is still something that has not happened yet, and we need to see that before we can be extremely confident that this is anything but just another bull trap or relief rally that'll be followed by continuous falls to the downside. So at any given point in which we break out around and above this trend line here and we get a daily close there, that is going to be the first step that we need to see to really say, okay, this is now looking more of a better time to buy. I definitely would not be buying while we are still under this trend line. Now looking at this thing on the 4-hour charts, there is a chance that this break of the trend line may not come until we see a bit of a fall back towards this $105 to $108 level around here. Okay, now the reason that I say that is because over the last 4 drops, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we've come back and resorted back to this macro level of support, as you can see has been holding us up since realistically the middle of last month. And so what that means is that even if the price does continue to roll here, I am under the belief that we may very well find some support, and that could be the big push in which we need if it doesn't come just relatively soon with some type of just smash through the top side here, okay? So do understand that this pushed up out past this trend line on the daily charts may not happen immediately. It may again need a bit of a pullback before allowing that to happen. Now the beautiful thing about that is that if we do see that pullback happen, what it does seem very likely is that we will get this this 4-hour bullish divergence in which it looks like us setting a low, a higher low up here, maybe around this area, and then very, very likely setting this low and pulling back into a lower low here. And as you can see, there is a divergence with a higher low and a lower low. That's considered bullish divergence, which does typically lead us to see a strong bounce off the bottom side here back to the top side, which does get us back above our macro trend line. We have seen that play out multiple times in the past, and I am under the belief that it's very possible that it happens again. Now, the moment in which we do get the break from the macro trend line, again, as you can see here, this yellow line, there will be the likely retest back up towards the top side of this channel. Now, do understand that once we get this breakout, whether it be like this or whether it be like this, we are very likely going to still see interactions within this. And that's totally okay, because our whole goal here, where our big mass accumulationary buy zone is, still sits right up here back towards $150. The reason is that although this looks phenomenal, and although we may be entering into another phase of this market in which we aren't stuck within a just consistent downtrend, we are not out of the woods, and we are not realistically even out of a downtrend until we clear this local macro high at $150. Until we do so, we're still setting lower highs. And the overall idea or the general rules for a downtrend are lower highs and lower lows, and we are still setting those until we're capable of working back up above $150 to set that new higher high. Once we do that, that's when the mass accumulation starts, whether it be there or whether it be on the short-term pullback, because we have now started to break the general rules of a downtrend, and it becomes extremely, extremely likely that we will see some type of push back up towards the upside, okay? So right now, the biggest things that we need to be paying attention to are the trend line and the macro high at $150. Those are going to be your two big buys buying points, okay? I personally will do a very small amount of buying once we get the daily closes outside of this trend line, because I do like getting Solana, under 130 bucks. I do like that just as a, fundamental investor. But realistically, my larger buys will not come until we are up here. And until we get to this point, realistically, all of this is kind of just extra. It's just extra stuff to pay attention to. None of it is as important as until we get back above this $150 level. Now, do understand that a lot of this market, the majority of this market, is going to react off of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes back up and continues setting these new macro highs, these new local higher highs, it is very likely that Solana will follow. So do pay very close attention to both Bitcoin and Solana, because that combination right there will really give you a clear picture of the best times to be getting in on some more Solana. So just to recap again, be paying attention to your trend line. Do understand that there is the possibility of a pullback back to the bottom side of this ascending wedge, and as long as we are capable of holding it and continue upwards, we are very likely to break this trend line on that next move. Now, if we do lose this level, I will make a video talking about the next lows, which will likely look like $94, but there's no point in worrying about that too much, as we are in more of a bullish swing of things at the moment. Now, realistically, although there will be some decent buys to be made on the break of the macro trend line on the daily charts, we will need to pay even closer attention to these levels up here, because the rejective high here will serve as the perfect buying entry, in my opinion, if we are capable of setting the new higher highs. And now, please don't forget, one thing that I did announce on the channel not too long ago is that whenever I do these mass accumulations, whether it be here or whether it be once we get the clearing of 150, I am no longer going to be really doing a lot of trading on centralized exchanges or even many decentralized exchanges. The majority of them will be being done in my iTrust Capital account. Of course, this is a way for me to stop losing up to 40% on every single gain that I make. Those of you in the US specifically, you are losing up to 40% on every single gain that you make whenever you buy and sell cryptos, as you do have to pay taxes on it. It's ridiculous. I think it's way too high with the taxes right now. And so for that reason, I have been looking at tax-free options, and iTrust is very obviously the best one. I put the link in the description, and it's also the pinned comment down below. Do go check them out. Just simply, at least at bare minimum, just open up an account. Once you get to this page, what you're going to do, let's let it load, fill in this very basic information for free, totally free, create an account. They'll send you an email, go verify your email. Once you verify your email, you will be able to see all of the options they offer, and if any of them fit in for you, because it can save you not only thousands, but even hundreds of thousands of dollars one day as we do continue into multiple bull markets. So of course it is worth going check out, and I would highly suggest, not advise, but suggest that you at least go ahead, open an account, verify your email, and see your options there. So with that being said, of course, guys, that is going to be about it for today's video. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you can always let me know simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all next time. Peace.